Hello, everybody.
Sounds good.
Welcome to today's episode of Newsflash. We have a very special episode today because we're just going to take a little bit of a moment to step back and remember, even as Joe Biden assumes the presidency, I know, granted, the timing on this probably would have been a little bit better if we had done it before Trump left, but he is quite an exceptional president. Unlike anything we've ever had, he's a very, in my opinion, bad president. But he is also an incredibly funny president, which is the likes of which we really have never seen in modern times. So as this goes away, and I do want to, of course, because we're having both James Stanley and hopefully James Weld as later, getting some of the more serious stuff. But I do want to kind of explore the really kind of funny side of it as well, and there's no better person to do that with than Donnie Roveto. Donnie, thank you so much for joining us here today. And what is your take on the overall just nature of Trump's presidency?
Yeah. Well, his presidency, very controversial, but I think most people with a sense of humor can agree that some of the things he's saying are quite hilarious. And I think although the weight of the office only furthered how funny the things he said really were.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like waking up in the morning, Trump tweet "Covfefe" and run with it for 3 years is pretty funny.
Yeah, that is just one of the great benefits of kind of living in a system where everything is just kind of going slowly spiraling out of control, and then you have a president at least keeping it entertaining. And it started off very, very entertaining, taking you back 4 years ago today, as Trump delivers his inauguration address the next day. Remember this is a real blast from the past. Press Secretary, of all people, Sean Spicer, that was 4 or 5 press secretaries ago, insisting that Trump's inauguration attracted the biggest crowd of any presidential inauguration in history, period.
Yeah, I remember
The
that.
first big meme of the Trump presidency. What was going through your mind at that time as this was going on?
Well, what made it even better is that there were pictures, right?
Yes.
It's not like this can't be fact checked. I mean, you can clearly see side by side that it wasn't by any stretch of the imagination the largest inauguration in history. And I think that only set the tone for his next 4 years of just outrageous claims and then running with it.
Yeah, it's really just clearly, it's just, yeah, as you say, setting the trend of just clearly saying, this thing that you see happening right in front of your face is false. Is false, and you guys got to go along with it because, no one did, but it still was kind of funny that they had to do it. And the best thing is kind of these early genre of stories from inside the bunker with Trump that we saw all throughout the 4-year term. In January 2017, the stories started coming out as the White House staff began to discover that the president preferred to work with papers over computers and had a habit of tearing up his papers when he was finished with them. Legally obligated to preserve Trump's memos, files, and other correspondence, his staffers spent hours each day taping ripped documents back together.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. I also want to remember. Do you guys remember Scaramucci?
Yes, we will come right. We will definitely come to that. Just all the cast, the wonderful cast of characters, and this stuff just going on. And of course, the best thing that we really treated the Trump presidency was, of course, the handshakes. February 10th, 2017, that was the first official handshake with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. We were 19 seconds they went on, patting and yanking. Just what was he trying to do with the handshakes there? I just is that some weird power play in his brain or what?
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to be the first one to break the handshake.
Yeah,
Well, it's quite funny.
Yeah, it's really just a perfect. It's what always going around on Twitter. So, Canadian Prime Minister, 3 days later, he braced his arm so that Trump couldn't yank it away, and he practiced this move apparently with senior aides Justin Trudeau on the plane to Washington. Really, also kind of a crazy example of just how, even though he was such a buffoon, he was. I think he was just kind of getting in world leaders' heads in a weird way, just with the the what is he gonna do? You can probably
I don't know. You can never. What was also so entertaining about the Trump presidency was like you never knew what was next, right? Like you could wake up and at 3 a.m. Donald Trump tweeting something that could change like the entire scope of American politics, and so you were always on the edge of your seat. Like I doubt we're going to get that with Joe Biden's presidency, in which that I mean, well, what I always found entertaining was the disconnect between Trump's Twitter, the media, and the White House staffers.
Yeah.
Right? Trump would say something, the White House would do damage control, and then Trump would just basically shred all the damage control on Twitter and be like, "No, I meant it.
Yeah.
I meant it."
Yeah. Just absolutely driving people crazy. Like they all came in. They thought he could control the post. Like they thought they could control his posting and ride the wave of Trumpism to like power. But no, you just can't do it. And of course, just then like at one point he completely, to bring it back to she completely ignored Angela Merkel when she tried to she completely ignored the outstretched hand there from Angela Merkel. And that was a great one. But again, back to what I was saying before. Early 2017, Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, just trying to, this is the first person coming in from kind of like the establishment Republican wing. He was the first one to try and control the wild wave of Trumpism. He, wary of what the unpredictable president might do or decide, became known for literally sprinting through the West Wing to keep Trump from having Oval Office meetings without him. He would just be like, I gotta get in there. He's tweeting again. Like, yeah. And of course, by that time, Omarosa, she was still around. She's a season 1 character there. She brought her wedding party to the White House for an impromptu photo shoot. And of course that really was not like, again, with policy. Here's another. Exactly. Yeah, here's another. This is kind of one of the more less important things, but this was a pretty big one. May 9, 2017, it was the first big like scandal of the Trump presidency. While FBI Director James Comey was in Los Angeles talking to his LA field office employees, TVs on the wall began to blare, Comey resigns. He chalked it up as a prank by a staffer telling employees, someone put a lot of work into that. Meanwhile, they pretty much things continue to change from Comey resigned to Comey fired. So an email from the White House apparently got stuck in his junk folder, informing him that he'd been fired. So, like, what did you think about that at the time? Were you disturbed with the action?
I mean, it was definitely controversial. Now, I mean, and it's something that he did throughout his entire presidency. I mean, he fired Secretary of State through via tweet. Remember Rex Tillerson?
Yes. Rex.
And basically tweeting out that you're fired. Like, imagine being the Secretary of State of the United States and then logging onto Twitter and the president says you're fired.
Yeah, and it's just finding out about your firing for the FBI director on the news, just insane. So, just that same day, with more than a dozen journalists asking questions about Comey firing on the White House driveway, Sean Spicer hid in the White House hedges, refusing to emerge until journalists shut off their cameras, and he was apparently just answered them for about 10 minutes. That was, again, another famous picture there. And of course, the May 22nd, 2017 was the first of many Melania hand swatting videos that we all came to love and appreciate.
I know on his inauguration night, the first one, he tried to kiss Melania. Melania turned her head.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah.
The first gaffe of the Trump presidency for their first dance. He went in for a kiss and she snubbed him.
Yeah, just an absolute endless speculation about their relationship throughout the whole 4 years. Another classic was during a photo op with NATO leaders. Trump shoved the Montenegrin prime minister out of the way to get in front of the group. That is the guy who's represent. It's also kind of funny considering what America has been in the past for a lot of people in countries around the world, and now it's this. That was Trump. It's just so perfect.
Yeah.
But as to what you were referencing before, at 12:06 a.m. on May 31st, it happened. Despite the constant negative press covfefe, and of course that kind of became a little bit of a stupid cliche from liberals by the end. But the best part was Sean Spicer going the next day. He said the president and a small group of people know exactly what he meant.
No,
Which honestly, I think that was just a troll.
there was a troll, and I'm trying to remember when, but he brought it up in a video from the White House. I'm trying to 1 second.
Like
We
Trump
can come
did.
back to this. Yeah, he made it into a joke.
Yeah,
Um,
they probably thought it was really funny, and a lot of people are like still like thinking, "Oh, he's so stupid," you know.
yeah, I mean that was hilarious. Uh, um, like Kofefe, and I love how they never clarified it. It was just that that's what it was. It was just Kofefe. Like what word could even he have misspelled there, right? I mean, what word, despite the constant negative press, like what other word could
Yeah,
fit in there to make it work?
yeah. If it was autocorrect, it would be like one suggestion there, and there's still like the best part is that they're like, "No, it was a real word." Like, and then the media was like, "Oh, it's not a real word. You are lying, sir." And that's the whole thing. That's how it happened. Oh, it was just great. So, in in his first full cabinet meeting, that was a really good one too. June 12, 2017. Trump kept the TV cameras on, and pretty much it was like North Korea. His department heads took turns just heaping ridiculous praise on Trump. He just said, at one point he went, "I just got back from Mississippi," and then the Secretary of Agriculture just goes, "They love you there, sir." Like just absolutely, completely back and forth there. VA Secretary Dave Shulkin took his wife on a 10-day work trip through Europe, and they pretty much was a vacation, and they charged on the taxpayers. And this is kind of another great theme of the Trump White House. It was a very just like complete and open utter corruption, which is like it's also has I think just been completely normalized at this point. It's just people expect it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trump did it out in the open, right? Everyone else did it behind closed doors. And just going back to the Covfefe thing, well, because I think it's very funny that the next day he actually deleted the original tweet and then tweeted out, "Who can figure out the true meaning of Covfefe?" And then in 2018, when the Yanny or Laurel trend was happening, at the end of the video, instead of saying Yanny or Laurel, he said, "I hear Covfefe" in a White House video.
Wait, I want to. Do you happen to have the link for that?
Yeah,
And
I can find it right now.
yeah, if you could find that link, and unfortunately, I have not been able to figure out if we place an audio in the show, I haven't been able to figure out how to be able to get the guests to like hear it, but the audience will be able to hear it because that is something that I want to hear. Another good one while you find that is pretty July 13th, 2017. U.S. President Donald Trump remarked on the physical appearance of French President Emmanuel Macron's wife on Thursday, calling her beautiful and remarking that she's in such good shape. Yeah, so here is the, and of course they had a handshake. But the weird thing about that is like the teacher, Macron's teacher, who he ended up marrying, is just a completely French thing. Just like, yeah, she looks beautiful, and she just was doing that or something similar, really in an insane way. And he also, he tried to just plop a little kiss on the French president's wife as well, and didn't. It was actually successful. So yeah, that's credit to him.
Yeah.
he did it. He did mission accomplished. Yeah. So here's another one. A very very good one. We are officially in the Scaramucci period. He was. Yeah, he was on TV all the time, giving these interviews, and says like, "I'm a front stabber" is one of the things he said. He told Politico he was going to fire Assistant Press Secretary Michael Short without informing Short first. 2 days later, he told the New Yorker in an R-rated interview about the then chief strategist Steve Bannon. He said, "I'm not Steve Bannon. I'm not trying to suck my own cock," and then he got fired the same day or 2 days later actually. Yeah, like what was the like just Scaramucci moment kind of like a turning point for you, or just was that like the first? I think that was like a moment where it was like, oh man, we are getting really off the rails here.
Yeah, well, I actually remember the Scaramucci moment, and I mean that was just crazy. I mean it was just chaos in the White House at that point. They weren't even hiding it from the public eye. They were just like, yeah, no, we don't know what the hell is going on, and they just continued the trend of letting staffers staying for a month and then leaving. Like, I mean, I don't even know how many cabinet positions were empty and then filled and then empty and then filled over the Trump presidency.
Yeah, and like definitely it is